only have minor changes because all 7 of us are to discuss recommendations in the management committee meetings. So it was agreed and submitted. Finance Department, 11.2.
11.2, the Finance Department. There we have one item which is 11.2.1 that deals with the approval of information systems, security and ICT usage policy for Yabov Town Council.
The submission was discussed at length, and therefore the recommendations is carried forward.
The youth
Okay.
development.
Youth development, sorry, thank you. This will be discussed as it is. It will be having recommendations from us.
Thank you for that correction. So the Youth Development Project is a cemetery cleanup initiative. If I may introduce your worship. The office of the mayor is currently inundated by unemployed youth seeking assistance and opportunities for livelihood. This growing challenge underscores the urgent need for council to investigate and implement robust measures that will not only provide immediate relief, but also create sustainable pathways for young people to thrive. Without intervention, many risk falling prey to social evils, including drug and alcohol abuse, which erode both individual potential and community well-being as well. Allow me to proceed with the background and strategic imperatives given the fact that we only receive it now so that we can better understand. To transform this challenge into an opportunity, Council must prioritize the following. We have skills development, enabling environment for entrepreneurship as 2. Under skills development, we need to establish vocational training programs aligned with local economic needs, such as construction, agriculture, ICT, and hospitality. We also need to partner with institutions such as NIPAM, NTO, and overseas ministries and agencies, vocational centers, and NGOs to deliver accredited training. Under enabling environment for entrepreneurship, we have it that we need to create youth innovation hubs to incubate small businesses, provide mentorship and seed funding for startups, encouraging youth to become job creators rather than job seekers. We need to simplify municipal procedures for youth-led enterprises, such as permits and licensing and access to markets. Under collaborative partnerships, which also results under enabling environment for entrepreneurship, we have it that we need to engage private sector, civil society, and educational institutions in co-designing opportunities, formalize partnerships through memorandums of understanding to ensure accountability and sustainability, and to mobilize donor and government support for youth-focused initiatives. Under the social protection engagement, we have that we need to expand recreational and cultural programs to keep youth constructively engaged. We need to strengthen awareness campaigns against substance and abuse and social evils, knowing that our town is notorious when it comes to drugs, the prevalence and the use and abuse of drugs. Also to involve the Junior Town Council in decision-making to foster leadership and civic responsibility. So the strategic direction is that to come up with a cemetery and recreation parks development. Cemeteries are sacred spaces that honor the memory of our loved ones and reflect the dignity of our community. Unfortunately, many cemeteries face neglect due to limited Did I miss something here? Overgrown, and then it continues to refreshments for volunteers. So it seems as though a page might be missing there. But then it seems as though the following are what we need to maybe provide: refreshments for the volunteers, training materials and facilitation, modest budget for ongoing maintenance, and daily allowance for participants. The expected outcomes: it will then reduce youth unemployment and dependency on council for an ad hoc assistance, increase number of youth-owned enterprises contributing to local economic growth, enhance community resilience against social evils through constructive engagement, and strengthen intersectoral collaboration for sustainable development. Under sustainability is, we have the project will establish a youth development committee or a forum to ensure continuity. Regular clean-up schedules will be integrated into youth programs through the Junior Council and the Environmental Youth Division in partnerships with schools and community groups. Churches will sustain participation. Monitoring and evaluation, pre- and post-cleanup assessments of existing cemetery conditions, attendance and participation records of youth volunteers, reports submitted to Council for accountability and learning. In conclusions, we have the recommendations. It is recommended that the Office of the Mayor seek support, collaboration, and possible funding from the Rehoboth Urban West and East constituency offices to the Office of the Hardap Regional Governor and the Regional Council. That the youth development program be managed and coordinated through the Junior Council in collaboration with respective departments and divisions. That Council seeks sponsorships and funding from NGOs, business community, and consulting companies to cater for needed resources and allowances, and allowance of participants or volunteers, because the Rehoboth Town Council does not have the mandate by law to fund development initiatives of this nature. Neither are there budgetary provisions for employment or funding, and so I submit, Your Worship.
Taken note, any inputs from the councillors and perhaps first the councillors and perhaps then the technocrats? Silence is conformity. Therefore, we confirmed and give approval. Talking to us also. We continue with the agenda. Is it 11.2.1 now? Council support? What about? Because we 11.1 information assessment support. Are we proceeding to 11.4? Together, councillors, on your agenda.
Part 11.2.1. Your Worship,
Councillor Tara,
does it mean we skip 11.2.1?
we don't skip it. We
Oh,
discuss it
oh.
at management and recommendations are carried forward. All 7 councillors at management.
I wasn't present, I think.
But the majority, yeah, you
Can
can,
I
but
say
it will not,
something on it?
you can say, but there will be no bearing of it because majority was taken, decision was taken.
Okay, but I will still continue then. Your Worship, may I humbly request that the MC add an additional recommendation to be considered that prior to the approval, that the financial implications be submitted to Council for final consideration. Reason being, Your Worship, I have observed a lot of unnecessary expenditure by this council even before induction. Despite our challenging financial situation, point in case our long overdue main water bill. Traveling to functions that brings no value to this council, like in future, attending gala
Councillor,
dinners.
if I may stop you, you are confined to the submission only.
Okay.
Are you going to continue on the specific submission?
No, Your Worship.
Good, carry it forward as I said. 11.4.1.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under 11.4.1, we have the subdivision of ERF 37 Block B, Rehoboth into ERF A and remainder of ERF 37 Block B, Rehoboth. Consent to commence with construction while submission is in process. If I can give a short introduction. Harmonic Town and Regional Planning Consultants, acting on behalf of Dagelt Ofio, Christian Hammerschlacht, pardon me for the pronunciation if it's not correct, ID number 7411180068, in his capacity as the sole owner of ERF 37 Rehoboth Block B, is hereby submitting an application to the Rehoboth Town Council for subdivision of ERF 37 Block B into portion 1 and 2, and the remainder of ERF 37 Block B, Rehoboth. If we can go to the recommendations by the Management Committee, then we have it that consideration, firstly, is given for the need and desirability for the subdivision of ERF 37 Block B into portion 1 and 2, and the remainder. Secondly, approval is granted for the subdivision of ERF 37 Block B, Rehoboth into ERF A and the remainder. Number 3, approval is subject to the adherence of legal requirements as contained in the Urban and Regional Planning Act, Act 5 of 2018. That the approval is subject to payment of endowment fees as prescribed. Number 5, the applicant, be responsible for the town planning cadastral procedures and the cost involved. Number 6, all cost for municipal infrastructure such as roads, sewer, water, electricity, and stormwater drainage be on the cost of the owner, the applicant. Number 7, that the applicant be responsible for any additional charges on electricity network contribution that may be brought about as a result of the rezoning and subdivision. And 8, lastly, it was referred to the OCM. Your Worship.
Any inputs? Councillors, administration. If noted, then recommendations are carried through. We are proceeding 11.4.2 rezoning of the ERF 224 Rehoboth Extension 1, Rehoboth from the single residential within a density of 1 to 300 to general residential with a density of 1 to 150.
Your Worship, Kamau Town Planning and Development. Again, a short introduction. Kamau Town Planning and Development Specialist. On instruction from the owner of ERF 224, Rehoboth Extension 1, Ms. Margaret Mayhoff, submitted an application seeking statutory approval for the rezoning of ERF 224, Rehoboth Extension 1, from single residential with a density of 1:300 to a general residential with a density of 1:150. Further consent to proceed with development while rezoning is in process. The applicant, therefore, is seeking Council's approval for the rezoning of ERF 224 Rehoboth Extension 1, Rehoboth, from single residential with a density of 1:300 to a general residential with a density of 1:150. Further consent to proceed with development while rezoning is being processed. Let us now go to the recommendations by the Management Committee. Consideration, firstly, is given for a need and desirability for rezoning F224 Rehoboth Extension 1, Rehoboth. Number 2, approval be granted for the rezoning of F224 Rehoboth Extension 1 from single residential with a density of 1:300 to general residential with a density of 1:150. Approval is subject to the adherence of legal requirements as contained in the Urban and Regional Planning Act, Act 5 of 2018. Number 4, that the approval is subject to payment and betterment fees as prescribed. Number 5, the applicant must be responsible for the town planning cadastral procedures and the costs involved. Number 6, all costs for municipal infrastructure, roads, sewer, water, electricity, and stormwater drainage be on the cost of the owner or the applicant. 7, that the applicant be responsible for any additional charges on electricity network contribution that may be brought about as a result of rezoning and subdivision. 8, consent be granted to the applicant to commence with the proposed development while the rezoning is in process. Number 9, it has been referred to the OCM.
Any input? Recommendations then is carried through from the management. (11.4.3) Submission of swapping of Ervan 920 and 922 to with an alternative ERF. Swapping.
Thank you, Chairperson. Under item 11.4.3, the introduction reads as follows. This request for swapping ERF 920, 920 and 921, currently allocated to Mr. Gideon Bretz in Block D, Extension 2, which has been fully paid off with an alternative ERF located within the formal township layout. Therefore, the Management Committee has recommended the following. Firstly, Council approves the swap of ERF 920, 920 and 921 Block D, Extension 2, that are currently allocated to Mr. Gideon Bretz with Erwin 964, 965, 971 and 972 Block D. That applicant secondly pay the additional price of 444,464 Namibian dollars for the extra 397 square meters before ministerial approval is sought. 3. The applicant pays a compulsory 33%, which amounts to 14 Namibian dollars 673 and 12 cents deposit of the purchase price within 30 days after notification before ministerial approval is requested. Number 4, the remaining payment of 29,790 Namibian dollars and 88 cents be paid within 60 calendar days after ministerial approval is obtained before any transfers take place. Failure to these, Council will revoke its decision and the applicant will forfeit the 33% deposit paid. Number 5, the sale be subject to advertisement for objections. 6, the sale be subject to the attaining of ministerial approval. 7, that all costs incidental to the sale and transfer process be borne by the beneficiary. And at number 8, it was referred to the OCM.
Councillors' input. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. I would just like to make a quick correction on point 2 of the recommendation that the applicant pay the additional price of 44,464 Namibian dollars for the extra 397 square meters before ministerial approval is sought. That is the only correction. Thank you, Worship.
Mr. CEO, it should be clear that the Ervan is now a roadway, the original Ervan. And can you give that background Maybe you, through you, the technical manager, or you.
Yes, Your Worship. You might remember that previously the late Mr. Brits, may his soul rest in peace, he was the owner of a certain piece of land which sort of bordered the other area where the Majid family was already built a wall upon that area. And since 2011, we were trying to see that either the wall must be demolished or we look at alternative ways, because the road authority already had a culvert in the area where we could not have the access to Block D in that specific area. So for almost 6 years, we were struggling up and down to make sure. Alternatively, Mr. Brits considered and said he is willing to move or to concede those areas or those properties and for in exchange for other areas that we could have given to him. That was done by the previous council, but as we all know, the ordinances was in place at the time. When the town planning department started with the process again, they had to go through the Urban Planning Act again to submit these approvals. So this is now the stage where we are. Your Worship, I submit.
So you would also see that there is, for the two Ervan, the sizes is, the original size was, for the two main Ervan, the original size was what? 2,051 square meters, the two Ervan that they owned. And now, when we are replacing this Ervan, it will be now 2,448 square meters. Therefore, the extra payment comes into play. That is quite understood. Is there any contributions that you would want to put forward? One.
Chairperson of Council, I have a question and a concern, not that I'm objecting to the point. How, number one, how did the family come to occupy the property? Number two, by donating the earth, are we not setting a precedent that illegal occupation is rewarded or condoned by this council? It is my belief that as leaders, we should always be consistent. Number three, how are we going to deal with such cases in future? Thank you.
Councillor Tara, the answers are as follows. That's why I gave background, asked the CEO to give background to it. The occupant bought it lawfully with his money and paid for it in full. There is no donation at place. If you look at it, there is no donation at place. There is a road that came into play and there is a borderline. And the council was now supposed to swap this area because he cannot use them at the moment after paying. So now we have to look at how are we going to reimburse him for the urban that he have purchased with his own money. So we have given him the urban, and then the council look at the alternative way. Now when we look at the alternative way, his original purchased urban size was 2,051 square meters. And now the area that we are allocating to him is now, the land that we are allocating is now 2,448. So for the extra 397 square meters, we are not donating. Nothing is donated. We ask him to pay for the extra. Thank you. Therefore, the recommendations are carried forward as passed on by the management. Are we at 11.4.4? Amendment to land size for PJ free range chickens.
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject that deals with the amendment to land size for PJ free-range chickens. Shortly, the purpose of this submission is to seek consideration for the amendment of the land size allocated to PJ free-range chickens. I might as well just give the background, if I'm allowed by the chairperson. PJ free-range, represented by Mr. Carl January, was approved via council resolution RTC 08 /224 /10 2019 on the 9th ODCM to establish a broiler chicken project on a 7-hectare portion. After learning that there is a proposed main road that will cross the allocated portion, he notified the council of his concerns, noting that the road will reduce the land size by 0.52 hectares, leaving him with only 6.48 hectares instead of the initial land size of 7 hectares. Mr. January expressed that he could not commence with development on the plot because he wanted to have the matter resolved before he could develop. Mr. January proposes that there is a portion of land that is 1.5 hectares and just next to plot 99. He would like the portion to be allocated to him to make up the 7 hectares and the remainder of the 0.5 hectares to be allocated to him via the necessary administrative processes. Therefore, Council, the Management Committee recommended that that the PJ free range be allocated the 0.52 hectares opposite the initial plot to make up for the 7 hectares. The addendum be made on the current contract to reflect the amendments. Number 3, the applicant provides a preliminary diagram of the portion allocated. At 4, the applicant should consent to accepting the portion in writing, and therefore it has been referred to the OCM.
Discussions? Councillor Kutsia.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Your Worship, to the Honourable Councillors at Management, we are saying that his applicant applied in 2019, and due to that small area of 0.5 hectares, everything stood still. No payments for the from 2019 up until to date.
We will move. The CEO is not here.
Yes, because, Your Worship, my concern is not to say no. My concern is just because we have to avoid land banking and slow development. Because there's other people applying and must wait on a waiting list while they could have started earlier in the processes. For us just to fast track applications and immediately deposits should be paid so that people can immediately start with development. If there's queries by the developer, what I also found out, Your Worship, in the past, is that people do not go, they want council to go out and assess the land that they want. But I think this must fall onto the applicant to go out and assess the piece of land, then come back with proper information to apply, so that this cannot occur, because this is delaying development and it's delaying on the list that we have to give to development as a council. So let us just avoid this process, please, because 2019 to 2026, it's quite very far.
Honourable Councillor, what is your suggestion?
Your Worship, I just suggested on our application for such, even for applicant to apply for even 1 hectare or 2 hectare or 3 hectare, the process must be fast-tracked so that the person can already, like the standard that we are having, choose to avoid this for not happening. Because if the person was applying 2019 and there was a dismay from his side, why did it take so long for this dismay to be handled and to be assessed, he to be assisted in order for him to do payments? While for an applicant, for example, you can already start paying knowing that there is things. Why wait until something happens and then you want to pay?
Councillor Kutsia, what is your proposal?
I'm proposing, Honourable Mayor, that we avoid such applications.
Do you want it to be discussed further or put back? That's the direction that I'm looking from.
No, Your Worship, I asked, did the applicant did any payment during his time while waiting? That was my first question. Is there any payments? Then Your Worship said that the CEO is not here. So I just bought some time to talk until the CEO comes back in order to give the information on, is there a payment done?
I hear you, Honorable Councillor. Now that the CEO is back, there's finance minister that has to check that he's not here.
Your Worship, let me say this so that we can just prevent it for future use, because it is frustrating, and Your Worship also knows that people are coming in and say they are waiting long on the list for when their applications must be answered to. So we can proceed with this as management recommended to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kavango.
Thank you, Your Worship, the Mayor. I'm very grateful that my dear colleague, Councillor Kutsia, is asking that application that was done in 2019, whether payments have been made all along. Quite ironic for me.
Up till there, the word of the councillor. Councillors, at this juncture also, I need to make, besides this point that we are discussing, a special mention. I'm one-eyed, so I did not see, of our former Deputy Mayor. It is an honor to have you in the chambers. Therefore, thank you for coming and gracing our ordinary council meeting. We do appreciate you. Let's give him a round of applause. I want, Councillor Tara, do you have your point? No. All right. Any other comments? Then we carry it through as was recommended and discussed in the management committee, or is there no objections? None. Therefore, it's carried through.
Just to see that payment must be done immediately, because he can't get the same privilege. That's all.
Yeah. The provisions are here. The provisions are saying the standard provisions for land acquisition of land is in place of any purchase. There is a 33% that is after approval of ministerial, they must pay the rest in 6 months. What I have a problem with, while you are reminding me of that, Councillor Justin Goodseer, is that we should, technical manager through the CEO, we should stop the prospective developers from developing the land before ministerial approval is in the hands of the council and the person. Because what will happen if the council approve and the minister disapprove? So, or does not approve. So we should just get that into our recommendations that we should wait for further development of land. It's just my suggestion. I must not propose in. So I'm just saying to the council, we should rather wait, we should rather wait for ministerial approval, and developers must not, after council approval, start developing the land, because we need to, procedurally, we need to wait for the ministerial approval. That is my take. Should we make it formal? Should we not make it formal? Should we discuss? Chair.
Yeah, given that the chairperson is just advised, I would want to put that on record. That council, our land minister is, it's good that you made mention of land banking and land speculation. Council should take a stance on that matter. And therefore I would propose that without ministerial approval not being granted, no development should be made by a developer. This will go a very long way in the future to save the activities and the undertakings of the council for any eventuality. So I propose that no development should be made by a developer unless ministerial approval is given.
We stand on it while we are seeking for secondment. I would like the advice of the technocrats.
Your Worship,
Councillor Tara.
so can I also just a suggestion? When last was the land sale policy amended, and is it not time we do review on all our internal policies?
We had a very successful land conference in 2023, is it? And we benchmark with many municipalities and local authorities in the country, and then we have come up with a plan of action for that. So we will just avail. It's very new. We will avail it to you, but for now we are just saying so that we understand the background and also to realign with the direction from the minister. We are saying that, so it doesn't need to be voted on or seconded. It is a suggestion that needs to be minuted. Councillor Kutse?
Your worship, it's already actually active, the proposal that the honorable chairperson of management made. All that we are issuing is PTO, permission to occupy, to start, but not to bring development until ministry. This is just to avoid the investors, whereby they are also getting the investment money from, because sometimes ministerial approval can take a very long period for them not to lose their funds from where they got their investors off. That's why we propose, we have on the land management conference, we said permission to occupy forms, just to keep it active until ministerial approval has been granted. Not to say that they must start, but at least what they can do is that process of like non-structured, permanent structured buildings like fencing off, doing that payments, bonding the certain services that they're normally bringing to the place. Because we also have to take into account the fact that investors also have time limits from their investors. Thank you, Worship.
Technocrats, are you silent on this issue?
No, Honorable Mayor, maybe I think we just have to get the balance, because it might cause frustration also from the applicants, from investors. Rightfully so, if we are to follow what the Local Authority Act says, then the person can only utilize the land after ministerial approval, actually after ministerial approval and after the transfer of that property to their business or to their name. But practically on the ground, it might cause a lot of frustration. We just need to strike the balance. As Councillor Justin just said, maybe it's actually a normal practice. PTO is a normal practice. Most of the local authorities are using it. Maybe we just have to strengthen the conditions of the PTO to safeguard the interest of the council. Maybe the PTO should just clearly say that that you are allowed to occupy based on council approval, but council cannot be held liable should the ministry does not approve the occupation. So I think we can just strengthen the conditions of the PTO, but some people want to start immediately, and we might cause a lot of frustration. Yes.
If you can excuse the council or rescue the council from liability, then it would be fine. Carry it forward with amendment, Saka. With that amendment, Dorotheus. Also. 11.4.5. Application for approval and resolution to register an official stock brand for the River Town Council.
Sorry. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for confusion. I think the council support is so confused whether this direction should be put as a condition for the current submission that we are discussing, or are we saying for any future application? So they are just a bit confused. So they don't know whether to put it in now, or is it for future applications?
In future, because this is a 2019 application already, just amendments. So in future, we need to maybe just bring it through a submission then, through a submission from your offices. So we're just discussing that. Yes. Then we'll come back to council. Thank you. 11.4.5.
It deals with the application for approval and resolution to register an official stock plan for River Town Council. The purpose thereof is to seek administrative management's consideration and recommendation to apply for and obtain an official registered stock brand for the above town council. I will not go to the background. The management committee recommends that, firstly, the above town council be granted approval to register an official stock brand with the Livestock and Livestock Products Board of Namibia. Secondly, the Townlands Division be tasked with managing stock brand, and therefore, thirdly, it was referred to the OCM.
Mr. CEO, why do we need a stock brand?
Thank you, Worship. In terms of the impounding regulations, it also is in a Stone Age condition currently, because we are busy reviewing the one that we have, is to make sure that once animals are impounded from illegal occupiers or illegal residents or those roaming the streets and so forth, after a certain period, it becomes the owner or the property of the Rehoboth Town Council. In order to keep this property in place, you need to have a proper stock brand to make sure that you can later deal with it if you have to auction it off and so forth. I would also only like to advise only that we may have to add an additional point 4 or 3 before the reference to OCM, that ministerial approval should also be sought in terms of the stock brand, because it allows now for Rehoboth Town Council in terms of Section 31 to obtain farming rights through ministerial approval. So submit, Your Worship.
Amendments, we agreed. Carried forward then. 11.4.6. Reallocation of Block G Extension 10 and 12 of the Rehoboth Town and Townlands 302 for housing purposes.
The short introduction therefore has it that a two-fold application dated the 13th of October 2025 was received from the Samstan Community Foundation for the reallocation of Rehoboth Station Banoff Extension 5 beneficiaries and a group of new beneficiaries to Block G Extension 10 and 12 of Rehoboth Town and also Townlands 302 for housing development within Rehoboth under a private treaty basis. Their submission seeks approval for the reallocation of Rehoboth Station Banoff Extension 5 beneficiaries and a new group of beneficiaries to Block G Extension 10 and 12 due to the non-availability of municipal services such as sewer, water, access to roads and electricity in Banoff Extension 5. And in that regard, the Management Committee makes the following recommendations. Firstly, that Council declines the application submitted by Samstan Community Foundation for the reallocation of beneficiaries from Rehoboth Station Extension 5, which is Banoff, in view of the outstanding planning requirements, including a detailed topographical survey and stormwater analysis to inform appropriate drainage design, as well as a flood interval study to be undertaken by a qualified team of land surveyors, engineers, and environmental consultants. Secondly, that Council declines the new application for the allocation of land to additional members or beneficiaries in Block G Extension 10 and 12, Rehoboth, on the basis that the land previously allocated to Samstan Community Foundation beneficiaries has neither been fully occupied nor fully paid for by their members. Thank you, Councillor Novasis. Number 3, the Council resolves that the previously allocated urban at Rehoboth Station Banoff Extension 3 and 5 be fully occupied by the respective beneficiaries on or before 30th of June 2026, failing which Council reserves the right to rescind the relevant allocation resolutions. Number 4, that Council shall not consider any further applications from the above-mentioned community groups until such time that the land already allocated to them has been fully occupied and developed in accordance with Council resolutions. Number 5, that the applicants be formally notified of Council's decision. Number 6, it has been referred to the OCM.
Discussions? on this topic? Technocrats, councillors? Anything? Do we stand by the council recommendations, therefore we would carry through? (11.4.7) Amendment to Council Resolution Rio Meat Processors Pty Ltd.
The purpose of this submission is to seek for consideration from administrative management to make amendments to the council resolution relating to the approval of the lease application for Rio Meat Processor Pty Ltd in order to formally include the applicable rental amount as required for ministerial consideration. I want to read the background for this one. Council has it in its ordinary council meeting held on 28 October 2023 that the application by Rio Meat Processor Pty Ltd has been approved for the lease of a portion of Rio Townlands number 302 FIDE Council Resolution RTC /05/28/09/2023/8 OCM. The approval was granted for the establishment of a feedlot on portion in Camp 9, measuring 15 hectares for a lease period of 10 years. In compliance with Section 63(2)(b) of the Local Authorities Act 1992, Act 23 of 1992, Council placed a notice for objections in the Republican newspaper on the 15th of May 2025 of the objection period closing on the 6th. Are we listening, councillors? On the 6th of June 2025. No objections were received. Subsequently, the application was submitted for ministerial approval in terms of Section 31T of the very same Act. Therefore, the Management Committee has recommended that the applicant be charged rental amount of 512 Namibian dollars and 50 cents per hectare per month, subject to tariff adjustments. Secondly, the rectification does not alter the substance of the original approval, but serves to formalize and clarify the financial terms of the lease in accordance with statutory and administrative requirements. Therefore, it was referred to the OCM, Your Worship.
Councillors, discussions? Administration discussions? I think it's an amendment of the rental amount. Is it gazetted as such, or is it why was this amended? Why is the amendment? Why are they seeking for an amendment in the rental? And is it for? Those are the questions that the councillor should ask. I should just facilitate, Ame, because I'm not sitting there, Moss. No discussions then. Therefore, it is carried through. (11.4.8) correction of applicant name in the council minutes from Shalene Farmer to Melina Farmer.
Through the chairperson, the purpose of this submission is to seek administrative management's consideration and approval to correct the name of the applicant recorded in the minutes of the ordinary council meeting RTC 15/12/8/2025, the 5th OCM, under item 11.5.11, request to purchase the leased portion and additional 1 hectare adjacent to the leased portion. Shalene Farmer, to read as Melina Farmer, as reflected on the applicant's national identification document. I, for one, thought there will only be one recommendation to alter the name. And here we have the following recommendations. 1. Council approves the sale by way of private treaty of a portion of Rebov Town Council, measuring 2 hectares at a purchase price of 120,000 Namibian dollars, inclusive of VAT to Melina Farmer. Number 2, a deposit of 33% of the purchase price be paid before ministerial approval can be requested. Number 3, that the full outstanding amount be paid within 60 calendar days after ministerial approval is granted, or council will revoke its decision and the applicant will forfeit 33% deposit paid. Number 4, the sale transfer be subject to the advertisement for objection. Number 5, the sale transfer be subject to the attaining of ministerial approval. Number 6, the standard conditions of sale shall remain in force. At 7, all cost incidental to the sale process be borne by the beneficiary. At 8, the errand should not be sold to a third party within 10 years of sale or transfer from council. At number 9, referred to OCM.
Discussions. Councillors, did we read through the agenda? Because we are dealing with two things here. That is the only thing that we're supposed to deal. But now we are, the recommendations is talking about a sale. And you are supposed to tell me these things so that I can facilitate.
Your Worship, we saw the mistake that was made. So that's why we don't deliberate, because we know it's just some name change. Because the purchase, the rest of the recommendation is actually done. That is not even applied to the applicant anymore because the person is paid in full. So therefore, we didn't go to seek that. There was a mistake that was just made.
Then we must amend it
Okay.
in the OCM here because this is where we are.
Yeah, because it was just a name change. Not the it was not a new application. It's just a name change. So the rest of the recommendations must not even be there. It must just be the name changed one. Thank
That
you,
one
Worship.
is not there in our recommendations. That's the
It's it
problem.
number 1, Your Worship.
So that is the only one that
Sale
we're
by
supposed
the
to
private
discuss.
treaty. It's at number 1.
So we must only discuss that one.
Yeah, but I can see, Your Worship, it's not very clear at number 1 as well. So it's just to say council approves from Shalene Farmer to be changed to Melina Farmer and accepted by council. Thank you, Worship.
Noted. Someone must now propose and second. Proposed by Councillor Justin. Seconded by Councillor Tara. Jane Same. Donation of earth 663 Block G to Mr. and Mrs. Kamberipa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. For this one, I will give the purpose and also the background, because I feel like we need to understand that. Firstly, the purpose of this submission is to seek Council's consideration and approval for the temporary allocation of earth 663 Block D to Mr. Ishmael Emmanuel Kamberipa and Ms. Salinde Kamberipa, which are a married couple, who are currently occupying the Pastor Captain's house, pending the completion of legislative and administrative processes related to the alienation and transfer of the Captain's house to the Rebov Pastor Traditional Authority. Mr. Ishmael Emmanuel Kamberipa and Ms. Salinde Kamberipa have been occupying the Pastor Captain's house, which falls under the jurisdiction of the Rebov Town Council. The occupants were formally notified that they are required to vacate the premises by the end of January, in line with Council's prior resolutions. During a special Council meeting held in October 2025, I think I need to drink some water. Council resolved to alienate and transfer the Pastor Captain's house, together with a 5,000 hectare portion of land following a formal request by Pastor Captain Jackie Brits submitted through the Office of the Governor. This resolution was adopted to facilitate the recognition of the Rebo Pastor Traditional Authority by government and is guided by Special Council Resolution number RTC 02/21/10/2024. Thank you. While Council resolved on the alienation and transfer of the Captain's House, the Kamparipa family has remained in occupation with the permission of the Ministry of Works and Transport, in whose name the property is currently registered. The continued occupation is therefore interim in nature, pending finalization of ownership transfer processes. The Management Committee then recommends that Council approves the donation and temporarily accommodates or temporarily occupation of ERF 663 Block D to Mr. Ishmael Emmanuel Kamparipa and Ms. Salinde Kamparipa, while legislative and administrative processes for the formal donation are underway, subject to Council procedures and conditions. At 2, the donation be subject to advertisement for objection. At 3, the donation be subject to attaining of ministerial approval. At 4, the standard conditions of donation and transfer shall remain in force. At 5, all costs incidental to the donation and transfer process be borne by the beneficiary. And at 6, it has been referred to the OCM.
Discussions? Councillor Justin.
Your Worship, are we abiding to what the Vice President demanded a day from us as the Council? Is this this actually all that we bring forth? Because in the same household, there is more than one family. Did we look at everything in order to come up and say, this is what we're going to do? Because these people was not yet at the council, at the previous council for any discussions, and the Vice President gave us a directive what to do in this matter. And then we should have discussed, and they should have came into the office so that we discuss certain things before and then submit in order to see how we can come up with a amicable solution for these people that was staying there.
Councillor Justin, the discussions took place. Your mic. Discussions took place. The advice from the Vice President was to say, as long as they occupy the house, they cannot develop the house for the pastor community. Remember, it was donated as is, and then it should be the Office of the Vice President is supposed to renovate that house and then alternatively, the council was given the choice to donate an alternative ERF to the couple so that the Office of the Vice President can assist with the accommodation part. So the council is just doing the part that it needs to do by donating, not temporarily. That word should not be taken. If we donate, we cannot temporarily donate. That being the case, the VP will assist with the other projects. So the sooner we do that, the sooner they get out there, the sooner the house of the traditional authority will be renovated, the sooner it returns to its former glory.
Thank you. Can I just add something that is perhaps important? Because we're mentioning Mr. and Mrs., but there are 2 or 3 households within this was staying there. So they were not part in this. It's only this household.
There were only that household that currently and
Okay.
and under recognition of Ministry of Works is staying there. So
Okay,
we only cater for that.
Thank you,
All right.
Rashab. Thank you.
Any other discussions? Then we carry through as recommended. Thank you. We are at 11.4.10. 9. Oh, Mawa. Deputy Mayor. We are at 4.10. lease agreement of 70 hectare rear of townland.
The purpose of this submission is to seek administrative management's consideration to lease 70 hectares to Anno Energy Pty Ltd to construct a 20 megawatt solar plant. And therefore, Management Committee recommended that number one, Council approves the lease of 70 hectares of land to Anno Energy Pty Ltd for 25 years to construct a 20 megawatt solar plant only. At 2, the lease amount shall be 135,875 Namibian dollars per month, subject to adjustments based on the gazetted rates. At 3, the rental be subject to the advertisement for objection. At 4, the rental be subject to attaining ministerial approval. At 5, the applicant should fence off the area before commencing with the development. At 6, the rental will be charged 60 calendar days after the ministerial approval has been granted. At 7, should the applicant fail to develop the land within a time frame of 6 months, they will forfeit all allocation rights. At 8, applicant should liaise with the Health Division for scope before conduct an environmental impact assessment at their own cost and share the report and environmental management plan with the division. 9, on expiration of the contract, the applicant should remove all movable properties and restore the land to its natural state. At 10, the applicant will be responsible for all town planning processes, including subdivision and rezoning at own cost. 11, the applicants commit to a lump sum contribution of 1 million Namibian dollars to Rehoboth Town Council as part of its social corporate responsibility for townland maintenance. 12, social corporate responsibility be paid in the first 12 months of the contract, and therefore it has been referred to the council.
Any discussions? Councillor Kutsia? Councillor Kutsia, before you indulge, it was already resolved. I think that this was already resolved in 2024 by the previous council.
Yes.
And now it only came back for the amendments that was
Negotiations, yes.
presented.
Yes.
All right.
So I just wanted to find out, Your Worship, this current management recommendation, is this not a proper figure showing there? Is that the negotiations? I just wanted to find out on top of the new submitted, the newly negotiations, is this that? Okay. Thank you, Worship.
Mr. Rudolph?
Yeah, let me just clarify. Sorry for leaving the chair to continue. But yes, what chair was reading was already resolved. And the resolution is, if you look at the last page, there's a council resolution, which then resolved that annual fee should be 430. That was the resolution. So now, according to them, now as they presented, when they ran the numbers, it's not making sense in terms of investment. Hence, now they came today to make request for an amendment to that resolution, on which now they are requesting, in terms of the social corporate responsibilities, they offered 1 million, but now they are saying they will increase it to 2 million. The corporate social responsibilities. And then, in exchange of that, they are saying the 430 should be reduced to 150 per year, but escalated with the CPI every year for 25 years, so that it allows the investment to make sense in their financial model. So actually now it's good that it is already on the agenda. We just make the amendment on the agenda on the meeting now, and we can give them the letter. So it's just to amend the previous resolution with the new request.
Chairman.
Just for clarity purposes, when it comes to the social responsibility, whereby they ask for an increase from 1 million to 2 million, I just want to put it on record that it's for 24 months and not the initial 12 months for the 1 million, so that we can also just have that clarity.
DM.
I just want to find out if diligence been done on the company. Was diligence been done on the company, please? Thank you.
Yeah, due diligence.
Your Worship, whenever any company has come for presentations, we normally submitted a form which they has to complete in terms of the NIPD requirements to make sure whether they are duly registered, have they acquired offices in Namibia, where are they coming from, where are they situated, and all those type of things. Before they even come to the presentation, we had to submit all those things. So that has been done by the LED office in conjunction with the Rebo Town Council Investment Committee that we have established so far.
Any discussions? Councillor Justin.
Your Worship, therefore I propose that we amend on point number 2 and point 11 for the amendments. Point number 2 is the amount and the period, and point 11 is the social responsibilities and the period.
Councillor, guide the secretariat by saying amount from this to that.
Yes.
So they note there must be a secondment from one of the councillors, or then a counter proposal if there is. So there's a proposal standing. Is there any secondment or any counter proposal from the councillors?
Your Worship, sorry for jumping. Whilst knowing that there is a standing council resolution already, will it be prudent for me to ask that we go back and also have a presentation as the incumbent council to fully produce ourselves of the matter before we make any commitment thereto? So I submit.
So now we have two opposing proposals. Councillor Justin is saying let's just do the amendments and without secondment, and Councillor Kabango is saying let's send it back in the meantime, because it's a 2024 resolution. So let's send it back at least to bring the other councillors on par, and then make the amendments. So is there any secondment, Councillor Dara? Before you, Councillor Justin.
Sorry, Your Worship. And in that case, for understanding, for the new council to understand, I withdraw my proposal, so that the only proposal will stand is Honourable Chairperson of the Management one that will stand, for them to get the clarity. For me, it was just based on time bound. As you know, Your Worship, these are time bounded, and normally we don't want to make the same mistakes that we did in the past when it comes to people that really wants to assist with our electrical bill issue that we're having. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Tara.
Your Worship, I just wanted to agree with Councillor Kavango. That's all. Thank you.
So there's any other discussions? None. Advice, please.
Yeah, no, maybe not to stand in the way, but just to advise. Maybe the background a bit is this company already received an approval. Okay, there's a difference between Alensi, how we are working with Alensi, and this company. This company is not going to work directly with us. They are just purely leasing land, because they have an approval to use the substation for non-power. So when they came to us, they came with an approval from NamPower, it's attached here, that allows them to use the substation, that 10 kilometer away from Rehoboth, that substation. That's the approval they have. The only thing they requested from us is to lease the land. So what we are discussing here is only the lease of land, not to work with them in a way like how we are going to work. Because our Lenzi, the difference with our Lenzi is they are going to use our substation. So our substation becomes the off-taker. So that's a separate agreement that we have to run through the government, we run through the ECB. But with this request was only to request for the use of the land, but they are working with NamPower. They are going to sell the energy to the main grid. So I understand that new councils want to acquaint themselves, but I think they also made it clear to say the investments have time frames. So it might put pressure on them in terms of their investors, and we might maybe lose this lease agreement because it's only lease agreement that we have to agree, not the operations.
Councillors.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mwembo, for your 2 cents. I'm seeing that there is a standing council resolution as of 2024. Given the urgency of this development, I'm now pondering where the whole of last year and nothing has been done. And now we are talking about the time frame. Yes, I do consider that the investors do have the given time frame. But seeing to it that it's coming from 2024, I don't see the urgency for this council to make a resolution on a matter that they are not accustomed with. And for that, I maintain, even if we have to get them in next week, we'll get them in. But first, we want to hear from them.
Councillors.
I
recognize you.
Your Worship, I do still agree with Councillor Kavango. I second him.
Therefore, it is carried forward. If there is no other discussions, we are saying we will see them next week, and then must present, and then it requires a special council meeting, colleagues, to be able to acquaint yourself, and then after that make the informed decision. Then, Secretariat, are we fine? The recommendations that stand is saying first a presentation next week, and then they will now have to confirm. They will have to, the technocrats have to now confirm with them, and then after that a special council meeting just to adjust the price in the what? Price in what was that? 11 is what? Social corporate responsibility. Those two. So resolution is standing as was approved by the previous council. It's just to say we are changing the price. So that will be, the presentation was very short. It was 10 minutes, and the councillors could not, or us, we could not get the grips. So therefore, if they present to next week, then we will be able to say date we can't give, because we have to hear from them which dates they are available. So next week. Noted. Monthly reports. Chairperson.
Your Worship, there was also an addition that was made, but it was actually 11.4.12. Now, won't it be prudent to first move the request for the formal sale of that R116 to discuss that before we come to the monthly report?
Yes. Thank you for the reminder. Where is that? It's a submission request for consideration, deliberation, approval on formal sale and transfer of Airborne 1161 in 1235 Block E Extension 4 Rehoboth. Chairman.
The purpose of the submission. I would remain Empire Trading CC is hereby formally applying to the Riebehof Town Council for the sale of Erwin 1161 and 1235 Block E Extension 4 Riebehof. I would remain Empire Trading CC has been operating a restaurant and lounge on ERF 1161 and a depot on ERF 1235 Block E Extension 4 for several years and is in good standing with the Riebehof Town Council to date, with no outstanding obligations to Council. Housing and Properties therefore submits this application to seek an approval of the sale and transfer of Erwin 1161 and 1235 Block E Extension 4. Riebehof that I would remain Empire Trading CC at the current gazetted tariff of 84 Namibian dollars per square meters for service Erwin in Block E. We have recommendations here. It is hereby recommended that Council approves the sale and transfer of Erwin 1161 and 1235 Block E, Extension 4, Riebehof to Oudruyman Empire Trading CC at 41,160 Namibian dollars for ERF 1161 and 49,056 Namibian dollars for ERF 1235 Block E Extension 4. Secondly, a compulsory 33% of the purchase price to be paid within 30 days after letter of acceptance before advert placement and ministerial approval is sought. Failure to comply, the whole application will be nullified. The balance payment of the purchase price is required to be settled within 90 calendar days from the issuance of the ministerial approval. Failure to comply will result in nullification of the whole application, and the deposit paid shall be forfeited to Council. At 4, the sales transfer be subject to the advertisement for objection. 5, the sales transfer be subject to the attaining of ministerial approval. 6, the standard conditions of sale shall remain in force, and at last, all costs incidental to the sales process be borne by the beneficiaries. Thank you.
Councillors, I invite deliberations. Administration, I invite deliberations. Maybe. Extension 4, I seek clarity with you, the technical manager. Extension 4, 5, 6 in 2021, 2022. I've handed in a motion because it's the part of Block E that there are already people living on, but they don't have title deeds and ownership. Therefore, they are not paying rates. So I've handed in a motion whereby these Erwin must be registered and townships that 4, 5, 6 must be registered so that they can come up with a title deed. Business people are operating on those things. It's not new Erwin that is acquired. They are operating on that. But to obtain title deed is the problem. And we have applied. It's where my house is also, my mother's house. And we have obtained at least approval from the ministry. Now more people, for councillors, your indulgence, now more people in the said extensions will now apply for title deeds because they did not have it. They are on the Erwin, they don't have title deeds. Therefore, they are not paying rates and taxes. They are only paying for utility such as water and electricity. So now everyone in that area, after it was now accepted, must now come and apply for title deeds through the council, so that they can get the title deeds in. Then the rezoning or the zoning must also take place from a residential to a business, or from you understand, institutional and all those things. So that it went through to the township, what do you call that? Township board. And now it came back. Now if it came back, then it means we are going to have a whole lot of people coming to acquire title deeds. Therefore, my advice to the technical manager is to gather all the people rather than bringing it one by one to the council now. Maybe if the people will now be said, okay, now you are PTOs and now you must come to the properties division must now give us a list of people that from PTOs that needs to go to the title deed part. Otherwise, we'll be having every meeting a title deed application of 5 people, 10 people, 400 people. So that is the issue at hand. But I am indulging you for discussions. That's just the big background. It's extension 4, extension 5, extension 6 of Block E that never paid rates and taxes because of they could not own property, but now they can own, so now they are applying. Now people must indulge. Thank you so much. Colleagues, Kamari, aye. Asa.
Your Worship, according to if I'm reading through this document, this is exactly what Your Worship mentioned, for seeking for them to get a title deed and to do the subdivision in order for them to come from resident, in order for them to do transfer from resident to business, because they are not benefiting. So this application it's something that has already been done in the previous.
We are not benefiting.
Say again, Your Worship?
I'm saying you said, Councillor, they are. What did you say? We are benefiting.
From what, Your Worship?
From having the ERF, we are not benefiting as a council because they are not paying rates and taxes. So now, if they apply, the council will benefit.
Yes.
Because it will now also be moved from residential to business, so that the council can benefit more.
Yes, Your Worship. That is what I meant, Your Worship.
Sorry, Pap.
Okay. Yes, so I just said that we will benefit. That's what I meant. We will benefit when it's come from a residential to a business after they get the title deeds. Then we will start benefiting in all that areas. But Your Worship, my question remains on the submission now. Must this go back and wait for the others, or can we handle the submission currently as it is? Because he brought it. Must we send it back now to wait for the others? Because Your Worship mentioned it. Or are Your Worship just referring to the future now, for the others that comes for there to wait to have a certain amount and then bring it once to the council?
So Tara will answer for me.
Okay.
With permission by Your Worship. Yes, Councillor Justin, I think under correction, Your Worship meant in future we can do it like that, where all the other residents can hand in their documents as one, not as one document, but together, so that we can rather have a stack of it rather than one by one and dealing one by one with them. But I think we will maybe be handling this one as it is now, because we already have it as it is. Thank you.
DM.
Your Worship, I want to find out, I want to ask a question. This is now business that Outrumen is having on that Erwin. So which means they are households and then there are businesses. Are they going to be mixed? And will the business Erwin be more expensive than the households, than family? Please, thank you.
The rezoning will obviously take place because it's an established business. So that when the rezoning take place, it means that it will now be charged as a business, and the others will be charged. And to just also give you a background, the council wanted money from him to say you are business operating there, and you are not paying the business tariff. So you must, and he has handed in everything. But now the council has to resolve so that it can be formal and that he's paying the business, because now he's paying, while operating a business, he's paying residential fees. So now he must, if we formalize it, it means that he must now pay business tariffs on a rezoned earth. Councillor Kutse,
So I propose.
Finance Manager, before
His Worship, something just came to my mind. I don't have any problem with the submission because, in actual fact, the applicant is now trying to do the right thing. But the law also allows for us, in the absence of our updated valuation role, to do supplementary valuations on single properties that the council feels should be valued immediately. So, and I'm sorry that I'm mentioning it now only. You learn things as you go along. Even the mall, the council can already have a supplementary valuation done on it so that we can start charging the rates and taxes immediately. So we need to maybe have a resolution as well that allows for properties to identify properties that have not been valued and can be valued immediately, that will bring immediate revenue to the council, and do those supplementary valuations while we're waiting for the general valuation.
I think that was a discussion that we had with the management of the administration of the council. Valuations such as the assets of the town, Lake Wanop was discussed, also Hopasan was discussed, many other where else was discussed, so that we will deal with. Now this is an application on its own that we must deal first, but what you are saying is very relevant, so that we can add maybe as a whatever to say, we as the council resolve that we now have to make separate valuation on identified, so that they can come while we are waiting for the general valuation. I don't know, but we cannot put it in here because this is an application on its own. But maybe rather, guide 3. Okay, so let's just deal with this one and then we continue. Councillor Justin?
Your Worship, regarding to this, I proposed.
Councillors? Councillor Novasis, second.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will second to the proposed.
All right. Now, what we are saying, Secretariat, I want the technical managers.
Just to add, on the resolution, because because they are running a business and they need to renew their fitness certificate, we just need to add to say, in the meantime, they can be issued with a PTO, permission to occupy, until the ministerial approval is obtained, so that they are able to use the permission to occupy to apply for a fitness certificate.
In addition to the recommendations. Then we are proceeding, finishing now, at the monthly reports. I need to be guided. Baba.
Thank you, Worship. I think the monthly reports were dealt with in depth in the management committee. And if there's any recommendations probably in the monthly reports, it should be highlighted in order for it to be a decision to be taken, or just as Your Worship mentioned about these evaluations at the Wanop and the Obasens and all those places.
Therefore, councillors, we go to the monthly report on infrastructure and planning. We have discussed this in the management committee. If there is any addition, or you must stop me at that page and also add now. A general valuation role is to be undertaken. Decentralized altogether program must be re-established. We all agree with that. It must start, and people must move from indecent housing to decent housing. Build together must start soon as possible, that we agree. General valuation role must be done with the assistance of the ministry right from the start. Inventory of all council-owned urban and properties must be done. There are urban that is lying around in town. I am now 43 years old. but there are some urban that remains open for that amount of years and before that also. And we don't know how is it that it is not developed. If it is not developed, maybe we should look at the law and take it for the council. But in the interim of all council-owned property must be done by Q1, this is now, the first quarter. Relocation of Panov proper, Panov must get attention. Kleiner Rio, Hobasen, Caravan Park, those things must be finished. We discussed that in detail. Issues relating to double allocation, extension 1, 2, and 3. Which block is this? Extension 1, 2, and 3. Block G, sir. It says about the ongoing process, submission has been prepared, council occupations. Okay. Construction of open market must commence. I've seen that administration was seeking input from the councillors. Please give your input so that this can be constructed. Alienation finished. Town lanes. Pounding facilities, that's why we need the brand. Town lanes, the councillors were urged to take out time to go and visit the town lanes. The committee also asked us pertinent questions that we need to answer. But we need to answer these questions after a physical visit to the town lanes, and we need to answer it soon. It's already the given time by the committee. The committee is the mouthpiece of the community, so they need the answers so that we can give them the answers and they can provide to the committee, to the community. Sorry. While we are there, also I would like to make special mention of Ms. Justine Shitolo. She left us for better, greener pastures, and we would like formally to thank her for the service that she rendered to the Revo community and wish her all the best at the new pastures where she finds herself, and may the grace of the Lord follow you, Ms. Shitolo. Then building inspector. There's a lot of building taking place in town without proper approval. It must also be looked at. An audit must be conducted to ensure all buildings within Reward have approved building plans. Penalties must be handed out if need be. Town planning, the Rio Green scheme currently being processed. Harmonic town planning consultants, the layout has been done, submitted to Urban and Regional Planning Board. That's why we are moving. Dear community, that's why we are going to the ministries and things. We are going to the ministries, and you would see now I'm going alone because we have financial constraints, or I take the portfolio councillors with, because we need to go to the ministry and tell the ministry, these applications is lying with you since 2023. Our plots, the green scheme here, we have applied already how many years ago, and our community is not getting the plots, access to the agricultural plots. So I need to go as a politician, head of council, to go and talk to the minister and say, tell the minister, this is in your ministry. Can you expedite it so that our people can feel the development? So that is why we are going. I had to go to the Minister of Works, Honorable Nikunti, to tell him, Honorable Nikunti, tell us about the position of Rio Spa, so that we know and tell the community what is to be done. Let's continue. So this is the reasons why we are going to expedite these ministers and push them a little bit. Proclamation of several township, finalization of urban structure plan. Then we have environmental health management, local abattoir, improvement of sanitation and municipal services in informal settlements. That's where GIZ is helping us. Regulation. I'm supposed to not do these things, am I? Take your work back.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, the chairperson of the full council. So under the environmental health management, we had the following. So the establishment of the local abattoir has been mentioned, the improvement of sanitation and municipal services in informal settlements. Thereafter, we have the regularization of informal home-based businesses. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
we, the Revo community, must become friendly to home-based businesses. When you go to towns, as you enter, there's a street where there is a barber shop informally, but with, abiding by the legislation. There is a car wash, there is a tire repair place. Those are things that lets the local economy run. These small businesses are the things that that has built other towns. You see, in Windhoek, there is a, sometimes they are an eyesore, but we must just give them a appropriate place, and these businesses must flourish. So we should become informal business friendly as a society, so that the economy can thrive. There are a lot of, and that's what the National Planning Commission Director General say. You cannot talk about Rebo without building and construction. But where do we get those people? We must be able, and craft and arts. That's what he said. And where do we have a displays for these things if we don't support this informal business trade? We are sitting with people that can make things with wood and hands, but we don't have displays. We don't allow such businesses to grow. So we must become informal business friendly.
Thank you. Thereafter, we have the enforcement of environmental management plans, regulation of mining activities within town jurisdiction. Thank you very much, Councillor Tara.
This environmental mining, sorry, I'm taking, this is a problem. They, Mr. CEO, they go to Ministry of Mining, they come with licenses, and now it's as if they were forced to accommodate them now on the town lands. So that we need to have a meeting with Ministry of Mines, because they must consult us before issuing the license. I don't think what is the regulation, the prospective license, but they're just given a license to say go to Rehoboth and start prospecting. I don't know, but how do you do that? Maybe it's the right thing, but I don't agree.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. No, they normally apply through the Ministry of Mines and Energy for exploration license rights and so forth. But then also when there is any objections, we are always invited, we should have been invited by the Commission of Mines to raise our objections at the meeting scheduled by them before they can issue the license. Sometimes it seems that when the licenses are issued, especially there's differences, prospecting licenses and mineral rights licenses. The mineral rights licenses is the ones that they normally have meetings for us to go and object if there's any, but then they are also supposed to send us correspondence or communication to indicate when there's any meetings that they have in order for us to object. There was in the past, we had 2 instances where we had to go and object against licenses that were taken out, but it did not succeed at all, because most of the time the mineral licensing or the Mineral Act is very clear that once a person has received that license, he can come into your area, and as long as when he leaves, the area should be in the original state which he found, or which he or she found it in, and that is quite difficult. But that we will follow up to see what is the proper processes and how they are dealing with it. Thank you.
Also, while we're at it, is the mine that is here operating? What is the status? We are now they are operating, and they are complying with our regulations and everything.
Worship, it's only now the rental agreement that is still outstanding in terms of the settlement that we had with the mine that we need to confirm with. We had a discussion the other day that inspection from our environmental practitioners were on such a basis, but the technical manager stopped it, halted, because we agreed at the Mining Commissioner's office that once they conduct inspections at the place, they will let us know, the mining inspectors, so that we can follow suit. We, on our part, in terms of environmental health, will only look at the waste, the discharge of waste in the area, and if the environmental area or the environmental practicability of the area is still intact as it's supposed to be. The mining inspectors will look at the operations itself on the mine. But as we said, the mine is supposed to be in operation. We already supply them with a dedicated line, and they pay for everything and so forth.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Your Worship. For those of us that might have gone off track whilst listening, we are busy with reporting from the Department of Infrastructure, Planning and Technical Services. We are dealing with what is currently being done, the action, and then there are also timelines attached thereto. Under the regulation of mining activities within town jurisdiction, uh, discussions were held with the land manager during the previous year, and approval has been granted for benchmarking visits to other local authorities such as Karibib Town Council and also the city of Windhoek, who have similar operations within their jurisdictions. These visits are underway, and we should also know that environmental inspectors from the Ministry of Environment have indicated the intention to conduct an inspection and audit. The division will participate in this inspection. So I just wanted to mention the status so that we don't just go listing the things that are being done. It does not make sense for me. Thereafter, we have sustainability strategy, which is now the Safe Women, Safer Settlement Project. So following the handover of the Safe Women, Safer Settlement Project by JSET last year, a sustainability strategy must be developed. That was at the onset what was agreed. So a proposal outlining strategies and the way forward, including integrating of helping souls, will be discussed with JSET by no later February 2026. We have engaged JSET previously, and it's under construction. Development of policies and bylaws. The following policies and bylaws are under development. Firstly, the integrated solid waste management. Thereafter, the cemetery management policy, the informal trading, and also animal control regulation. The health and safety policy is currently at the divisional review stage.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would want to know from the technical manager, when are we going to use the new cemetery? Because by now we cannot walk between the graves to visit your family. So what is the hold up there so that we can also inform the community in terms of when are we going to move?
Yeah. As you recall, the internal services, okay, as you recall, the first phase was to fence off, which was successfully done. The second phase was for us to put internal services that includes roads, ablution facilities, and lights, as well as the house, the administration office, where the colleague that's responsible for administration will have an office there with a security guard. But resources were not there last year. So we appointed a contractor, but we could not continue because of resources. So we put it on hold, and only this year is when we came together, and we then agreed to say where we are going to get the resources to complete the project. So it was then agreed that the contractor will resume work. He was supposed to start actually the 2nd of March, which is this week. But he indicated that his equipment is out of town. He's going to mobilize over the weekend to start on the 9th. So on Monday the 9th, the contractor will be on site to start with the internal infrastructure that are required for people to start using the cemetery.
Thank you so much. Chairman.
Thank you, Your Worship. So thereafter we have also this point, which is establishment of dog and cat registration and monitoring system. So according to this report, the regulatory framework is currently in draft. Registration certificates have already been developed and are in place. Thereafter we have the registration with the Department of Water Affairs. The River of Town Council application for registration with the Department of Water Affairs must be finalized and submitted. When the management committee was considering this report, on that very day, the strategic executive had another equally important commitment, if I'm not mistaken. But that day I was saying, I detest these vague commitments. Just to state that the River Town Council application for registration with the Department of Water Affairs must be finalized and submitted. On that day, I was making mention that it needs to be time bound. We need to have a timeline in place so that we know who facilitates this, when will that be done, so that we can do proper reporting rather than just speaking in the vacuum. On the environmental sustainability and climate change strategy, the report has it that the development of the environmental sustainability and climate change strategy is being undertaken in partnership with the City of Windhoek. The process commenced on the 25th of November last year. A follow-up meeting with the City of Windhoek is yet to be scheduled. By the next OCM, we'll hear whether that meeting took place or not. Then after, we have the sewer system, the social housing units in Block E. The sewer system servicing the social housing units in Block E must be addressed as a priority. So the challenge that we had there as council is that currently there is no reliable data which indicates the number of houses not connected to the sewer system, the number of households using the bucket system, and the number of households using pet latrines. So a recommendation came that we need to recruit a minimum of 5 temporary staff members to conduct a comprehensive sanitation data collection exercise across Rehoboth. This data is essential for monitoring, planning, preventative measures, and disease control interventions. And again, on this matter, that day we were saying, we are talking about the social houses in Block E, and now the recommendation is talking about 5 recruits to do a comprehensive sanitation and collection exercise across Rehoboth. So we were of the opinion, in the houses of opinion, that the recommendation does not address the issue at hand. And also, the sanitation issue at the social houses in Block E does not need so much time to be addressed, given that it's not even above 20 stand to be collected. So if we have those houses that are in the same compound, if I may put it as such, why should we delay as council to go and collect the number of connected sewer systems and so forth? So that also will be addressed as a matter of urgency. If we come to the electricity division, firstly, there was a site handover for high mast lighting project. The surveyor or the surveying of the high mast lighting positions has been completed. Site establishments have been finalized, and the contractor had commenced with ABC line installation in Block H, from where the high mast lights will be supplied. And I wish to take this opportunity to express my most sincere appreciation to the strategic executive. We tend to be on the neck of the administrators when things are not done. But when it's time to give roses, then we don't. We are just out of our guns, as like it to be one saying. We are seeing that the holes have been dug already, where the high mast lights are to be stationed. I hope that we'll fast track the process. We have discussed that. Here on forward, let's look at the site handover for the installation of new switchgear at the Block F main substation. Will be completed this week. Megatron Namibia has completed the installation of a new switchgear at Block F substation. The only outstanding item was energization, which was pending cable screening from South Africa. The total project value amounted to 2,693,396 Namibian dollars and 77 cents. Pardon. The tender for the replacement of prepaid electricity meters closed on January the 16th, 2016. Evaluation has been completed and is awaiting 2026. You may want to add something. Oh, thank you. It's the 16th of January, 2026. Thank you, Your Worship. A tender for the supply of cables and mini substations for the refurbishment and replacement of aging infrastructure will be advertised in early February 2016. I don't know what's wrong with me in this 2016. Mr. Jochen confirmed that the documentation will be submitted to Sherry this week. Sherry, that I can see. It's maybe only the numbers that's playing the game. It has to do with this non-water payment that we had to do the other day. Oh, Soret is in the process of appointing a contractor to provide electrical services to Parkashuk. The first phase includes servicing 175 houses with electricity at an estimated value of 5,548,523 Namibian dollars and 38 cents. To improve operational capacity, this is another point. A service truck for pole insulation and overhead work. We need that. We need a cable vault locator. The first deposit of 388,808 Namibian dollars and 10 cents for the vault locator is proposed to be paid from savings realized from Block F substation and high mast lighting projects. The total cost amounts to 1,296,027 Namibian dollars, payable in 3 installments of 302,406 Namibian dollars and 30 cents each. A formal request for support of street lighting will be prepared for submission to the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Ongoing initiatives include a solar plant project in collaboration with Alemsi is in its final stages of preparation with relevant bodies. A battery storage proposal submitted by Mr. Jochen to be explored further by the leadership.
Colleagues, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have at length discussed the monthly report, OCM Management Committee. I just want to highlight some of the developments that will follow before we go to HR, which is in camera. I need HR and what is in camera? Finance. All right. Invite formal communication. Okay. Now, I think that with that we have come to the end of. Before that, Councillor Justin indicate. Thank you for the reminder. Those are issues that will be addressed in the public meetings that we start, because we would not handle it in the OCM. Why? Because then the public doesn't have input. So we are taking it to the public meetings where the public can raise concern and say, this is, I don't agree and such. So those issues of finances, rates and taxes, and the introduction of capital projects will be done in the clustered public meetings. With that said, I would like to, yes.
I think in the interest of the public, I think we need to be able to manage expectations by explaining page 9. I think page 9, I think the chairperson, if can go through page 9, because the public's expecting for us to deliver, but I think there are serious challenges that the public is not aware of, which we have raised. I think this is public reports, which they need to know, so they know that we are working within these constraints. In as much as we are expected to deliver, but there are these issues that's making it very difficult for us to deliver. So just to manage expectation.
Accepted, Chairman.
Thank you, Your Worship. And it's actually the last page of the report. So, general challenges requiring urgent leadership interventions. Critically, number one, there is a critical vacancy or critical vacancies affecting service delivery. The leadership is requested to note that there are currently 18 key vacant positions in critical operational areas, as indicated in the attached submission to HR. The recruitment process is currently underway. However, it should be noted that these vacancies are significantly affecting the efficiency and effectiveness of departmental operations. Despite these constraints, the department continues to operate, which is now the technical department, with the limited human resources available. However, sustained service delivery under these conditions is not sustainable in the medium to long term. Number two, urgent need for operational vehicles and equipment. To improve operational efficiency and service delivery capacity, leadership support is required to secure the following essential vehicles and equipment. Firstly, one bakkie for the roads team. Again, one bakkie for the sewer team. Another bakkie for property and housing division. An additional bakkie for the electricity team. One grader, one tipper truck, one skip truck, one water truck, and one electricity truck. In my report, I'd written there was still one additional thing that was mentioned. The compactor truck. Yeah. With crane and bucket for overhead line maintenance. The absence of these critical resources is directly impacting response times, maintenance programs, and overall infrastructural performance. Thirdly, capital projects and funding constraints. Leadership is further requested to take note of the proposed capital projects reflected in the attached capital projects report. While these projects are strategic and necessary for infrastructure development and improved service delivery, the majority cannot be implemented under the current financial constraints. In light of this reality, it is necessary that collective initiatives be developed as the administrators, the councillors, and also as the community to enhance revenue generation at local level, and also to strategic engagement be undertaken at national level to secure additional funding support for priority infrastructure projects. Without additional funding mechanisms or improved revenue streams, the implementation of these projects will remain unattainable. In last, the conclusion has it that these challenges are structural and require strategic leadership intervention. Addressing staffing gaps, operational equipment shortages, and capital funding constraints is essential to stabilize service delivery and to position the municipality for sustainable growth. And so I submit.
Thank you, Chairman. In terms of that, we were forced to make certain cost-cutting measures, and as one of them was to say we are not going to fill some of the vacancies, although they are critical, and an intervention was taken to say we consider interns in some of the positions, but some you can't. Interns in the terms of saying, because you don't then have to pay pension and medical aid and what, which will cause additional burden on the council. So we were advised to advocate for internships of student internships and internships for graduates, people that have graduated recently but doesn't have work. So that internship form we are not allowed to pay. There is a certain threshold to which we can pay them. So it's a give and take, a give or take or leave thing. So internship is the project that will look at it. NAMWADA, for instance, said to us, we are also having a critical cost cutting. We are in trouble financially. So we cannot no longer ask you to wait for us. We have put in certain cost cutting measures at our institution as NAMWADA. And one of them is not to fill vacancies. And you owe us, but you don't have cost cutting measures. So you must implement those cost cutting measures. So And the minister, when he was here, he also emulated the same sentiments. So cost cutting is at play. But remember, as the technical manager was saying, cost cutting compromise on service delivery, but we cannot. He said something about not compromising on service delivery, but effectively provide the services. With that said, I invite any formal communications. There may be gaps that this OCM, the first OCM, did not address. We invite formal communication through the office of the mayor from the general public or groups. At the moment, we have a recognized committee that can talk on the behalf of the community to us, and we are compelled by that committee to give answers. So we will continue to work with them. If some of the things that we thought we would address is not addressed, formal communication to the office of the mayor or the office of the CEO, and we will avail ourselves as the council and try to gather information and answer the shortfalls that this OCM did not cover. Also on information, we were chosen by the president's initiative of building 121 basic sports stadiums across the 121 Namibian constituencies in Namibia. We and Aranos are the beneficiaries, the first beneficiaries of this project. We are qualifying for 2 sport fields. Our groundbreaking for this stadium will be next week, Wednesday. It's a basic sport stadium, fully fledged with all the sports. Next week, Tuesday, facilitated through the office of the governor. We have availed land that we have surveyed for a cemetery because they needed it immediately. So you will see it will be built there. We are anticipating the next one to be built that side of Lake Wanop, on top of that open space, a very big one that would look over, that is now for the West constituency, that would look over the town of, what do you call, accommodation village, sports village. We have advocated this also to the National Planning Commission, which received it very of open hands, seeing that most of our sports stars are coming from Rehoboth that Namibia produce. Then another thing that I would like to also advocate is, it is quite important, while we have these challenges, we are appropriated money in terms of not being the regional capital. Imagine we have been allocated 5 million from the ministry, while for 41,788 people in our town, while a town that worth 18,000 was allocated 75 million because it is the regional capital. We advocate at the National Planning Commission that this must be looked at. We advocate at Honorable Sankwasa to say, it doesn't help that the government is aiming to bring development to the people. But if you don't bring the development to where the people are mostly, then it means that development is not coming to the people at the grassroots. So therefore, every opportunity that we get, and you as the residents of Rehoboth, every opportunity that you get, you must. The difference is that in all other regions, the capital cities of the regions have the most people. But here in Hardap, we have the half of the region's people is living in Rehoboth. Half. And yet the appropriation is not adequate. So every opportunity that we have and every platform that we have, we must say these things to the government of the day, to tell the government we have the most people in Rehoboth in the region. The appropriation must speak to that. So then, with that said, shortfalls of the OCM, please write to us formally. We will give you a platform to address these issues. I so thank you for our sustaining with us on our first OCM. And with that said, the first OCM is done. We go into in camera.